The showdown between Democrats and Republicans over funding the federal government is now inching its way to a deadline. Thanks for joining us tonight. I'm Emily Scarlett. Research shows 1 in 13 Americans suffer from PTSD, with military personnel at an even higher risk. And while the first step may be seeking professional help, there are other outlets when combating post-traumatic stress or depression. And the celebration continues, many gathering at the Capitol today in honor of National Constitution Week. An unfortunate collision between a train and a pickup truck near Stockade earlier today, leaving one man dead. The crash now an ongoing investigation. Your top health headlines this week include a chickenless egg product possibly hitting grocery stores near you, and new tests that may be able to detect breast cancer before it even develops. Here's your Fox Health Fix. The Washington Navy Yard reopening today, just days after an alleged gunman went on a shooting rampage, leaving 13 people dead, including himself. Things are getting heated on the Hill. Senate Majority Leader Harry Reid and Texas Senator Ted Cruz exchanging some harsh words over funding Obamacare. This while President Obama promises to meet with congressional leaders this week. But will there be enough time to reach a deal? Well, I always think it's great to hear that the city is getting more resources to help students pursue higher education, because I really think that that's very important.
Yeah, you know, I mean, the more people that graduate from high school and go on to higher education, I mean, you know.
It's not only good for the students, but the city.
Right, right. Good for the city and eventually society, the country.
Absolutely.
Go on and on about that.
All right, well, what's good for us this weekend weather-wise?
Well, we have a nice pseudo-summerish day.
I think opponents of the game, Tom, this is their worst fear, that something like this will be recreated because of the game. I don't really stand one way or the other as far as the argument, but I will say it begs the question, why is this a form of entertainment?
Yeah, you know, it's a good question, and I mean, he said right there that that was one of the reasons he did it. I mean, you could go into saying that, you know, there's probably something wrong with his head as well, but still, you know, it's not good PR for the game, that's for sure.
It isn't, but it's doing extremely well, so we'll see if this makes the sales slow down a bit. We will see. Tom Purvis joins me now for sports. Some say it's long overdue, but one of music's most recognizable voices finally getting a star on the Hollywood Walk of Fame. More music from Amy Winehouse, the Potter universe expands, and You'd Better Call Saul in tonight's Entertainment Update. Welcome back. I'm Emily Scarlett with tonight's Community Spotlight. Dancing with the Stars Great Falls is coming up Thursday. Martin Fleck is here to tell us all about this year's show, which I'm so excited to be taking part of this year. Good to see you, Martin.
Nice to see you, Emily, and you're one of the brave ones.
That's right. I'm really looking forward to it. I've always wanted to take part, so I was so glad when you all gave me the opportunity to do so.
Well, it's time.
Fantastic. That sounded great. I know the performances you all will have in Great Falls will be even better, I'm sure. Where can people get your music if they'd like to hear more?
Well, tomorrow I'll be at Hastings Music and Bookstore, 1 to 3 o'clock.
Perfect.
Having some CDs on
So
sale.
glad to have you on. You'll hear more of them later in the show. Stick around. Dan Quartz is up next with sports. What a great finish to the week. How fantastic has Kindred Original been in the studio?
They've had the guts in the entire show.
That's right. Awesome. Well, before we go, we leave you with more of Kindred Original. They're actually going to be playing a brand new song they've been working on called Would You Be Mine. Have a fantastic weekend. Licensed clinical professional counselor Janet Schneider says oftentimes people underestimate just how common PTSD and depression are. But there are ways to evaluate one's mental state.
Take an inventory of themselves and say, how has my behavior changed since traumatic events, or maybe I just feel depressed, maybe I'm socially withdrawn.
Research shows 1 in 13 Americans suffer from PTSD, with military personnel at an even higher risk. And while the first step may be seeking professional help, there are other outlets when combating post-traumatic stress or depression.
Oh my goodness. Well, I've always been into music. It's just something that I continue. I always come up with something in my head in the middle of the night, 3, 4, 5 o'clock in the morning.
A graduate of the ROTC of Fayetteville State University, Orrin Lofton moved to Great Falls, Montana to work as a satellite operations officer on the Malmstrom Air Force Base. But one day on his way to work, his life literally came to a screeching halt.
I pulled over, unfastened my seatbelt, opened the door, wham!
A disabling car wreck caused Lofton to lose his recent promotion, his marriage. Ultimately, he suffered depression. That is, of course, until he found his music.
see, the military, we're all regulations. This is the way you do A, B, C, and D. This right here, I can use my imagination.
Music is an awesome coping mechanism that a lot of people use. It can help people relax, even sleep.
Today, Lofton says with his music, he feels completely fulfilled and excited for what the future may bring.
You build a pyramid. And rather than, being in a rush for seeking fame and glory, just build that pyramid, and sooner or later when it gets discovered, people will see what you've done.
For ABC Fox Montana, I'm Emily Scarlett. Toby Magruder is a two-time national adult fiddle champion. Her music is where this story begins over 20 years ago at a mini-mart.
She would come in the mornings to get a pop on her way to work, and I was going to ask her out the next time she came in because she was caught my eye, and so she never came in again.
But a chance meeting at Willie's Saloon where Chris was taking free dance lessons set these two on a path some may call fate.
I made sure I told him I was playing in a band the next Wednesday, so maybe I would see him again.
And they did. And after going on their very first date, 42 days later, they were engaged. 3 months later, they were married. But the marital bliss didn't last long.
I had a real fiery temper. He's really even keeled. I'm typically the one that fights.
11 years into the marriage, the two reached a breaking point, and like a sign from God, Chris learned their church would be offering marriage encounter. Toby and Chris were lost, but it was here at this church that they were able to reignite the flame they never thought they'd find.
So realizing that I loved him, right days after I met him, and I still loved him. Our whole world is all about my happiness and what I need and what I get from people. That's what's important, and that's not what's important.
We left Sunday night holding hands, and it's been 12 years since then, and we're still holding hands. So.
Today, Chris and Toby say there are still arguments and things aren't perfect, but they're a stronger couple because of marriage encounter.
You have to stop asking yourself, how can I get them to be what I want, and start thinking, how can I be what they need?
For ABC5, I'm Emily Scarlett.